Let me ask you something. When you hear the names Satan or Lucifer, what image comes to mind? A horned demon ruling over a fiery underworld? A fallen angel cast out of heaven? Or perhaps a sly tempter whispering in your ear? These images have been burned into our collective consciousness. But where do they actually come from? Is Satan really the red-skinned villain we've seen in movies? Or is there more to his story? Today, we're going to peel back the layers of mythology, theology, and history to uncover the true origins of Satan and Lucifer. And trust me, the reality is far more complex than the caricatures we've been fed over the centuries. The origins of Satan, from adversary to cosmic villain. The story of Satan begins in a place far removed from the fiery pits of hell or the rebellious horned figure we imagine today. To truly understand his origins, we have to go back to ancient Hebrew texts, where Satan wasn't even a proper name. Instead, the term ha-Satan, which translates to the adversary or the accuser, was used to describe a role, not a specific being. Think of it like a title, a job description. In the context of the Old Testament, Satan was more of a divine prosecutor than an independent evil entity. His role wasn't to rebel against God, but to act within God's will, challenging humanity to prove their righteousness. Take the Book of Job, one of the clearest examples of this early depiction. In this story, Satan appears not as a rogue antagonist, but as part of the divine council, a sort of heavenly boardroom where God and his angels discuss human affairs. Satan's job? To test Job's faithfulness to God. He argues that Job is only loyal because his life is blessed, and with God's permission, Satan inflicts suffering on Job to see if he'll remain steadfast. Notice the dynamic here. Satan isn't acting on his own or opposing God. He's fulfilling a role assigned to him, and his actions are bounded by divine authority. This version of Satan isn't inherently evil. He's an agent of accountability. His purpose is to challenge and test, not to destroy. But this legalistic, almost bureaucratic version of Satan started to shift over time. To understand why, we have to look at the historical and cultural context of ancient Israel. During the Babylonian exile in the 6th century BCE, the Jewish people were exposed to Zoroastrianism, a Persian religion that introduced the idea of cosmic dualism, a constant battle between good and evil forces, represented by Ahura Mazda, the god of light, and Angra Mainyu, the god of darkness. This dualistic framework deeply influenced Jewish thought, especially during the Second Temple period. Satan began to transform from a subordinate figure under God's control into an independent adversary, a being in direct opposition to divine goodness. This evolution is reflected in later Jewish texts, like the Book of Enoch, which isn't part of the biblical canon, but was incredibly influential in shaping early ideas about the spiritual realm. The Book of Enoch introduces the Watchers, a group of angels who rebelled against God by descending to earth and corrupting humanity. These rebellious angels, often linked with Satan, became a prototype for the fallen figure we associate with the devil today. In these stories, Satan shifts from a mere accuser or tester to a leader of rebellious forces, setting the stage for his portrayal as the ultimate cosmic villain. Another key text that contributed to this transformation is Zechariah 3, where Satan appears again as an accuser, this time opposing the high priest Joshua. What's striking here is that Satan still operates within God's court, but there's a growing tension in his role. He's no longer just a neutral figure performing a necessary function. He's starting to embody opposition, even hostility. By the time we get to the New Testament, this shift is complete. Satan is no longer part of God's inner circle. He's an external enemy, a tempter, and the ruler of a corrupted world. So what caused this dramatic shift in perception? Part of it is theological evolution. As Jewish thought continued to develop, the need for a clear enemy in the cosmic battle between good and evil became more pronounced. This dualistic thinking was further amplified by the Hellenistic influences that followed Alexander the Great's conquests. The world of the ancient Israelites was changing, and their understanding of the spiritual realm evolved to match. Satan wasn't just an adversary in the courtroom anymore. He became the symbol of everything that opposes God and corrupts humanity. This shift also reflects broader human psychology. We have a natural tendency to personify abstract concepts like evil. It's easier to imagine a single villain orchestrating the chaos in the world than to grapple with the complexities of human behavior and moral ambiguity. Satan became the perfect scapegoat, embodying the fears, uncertainties, and struggles of humanity. He wasn't just an accuser anymore. He was the enemy of all that is good, a being with his own agency, actively working to undermine God's creation. As we trace the development of Satan from a divine prosecutor to a cosmic villain, it's fascinating to see how much of his story is shaped by cultural, theological, and historical influences. The Satan of the Old Testament and the Satan of the New Testament are almost unrecognizable as the same figure. What started as a title, a role in the divine order, evolved into a fully fledged character, an antagonist in the grand narrative of good versus evil. And yet, even in this transformation, Satan remains a mirror of human concerns, reflecting our deepest anxieties about morality, justice, and the nature of free will. Lucifer, the morning star and a misunderstood name. Now let's talk about Lucifer, a name often used interchangeably with Satan, but it has a completely different origin. The name Lucifer comes from a Latin translation of the Hebrew word helel, which means morning star. This term appears in Isaiah 14:12, a passage describing the downfall of a Babylonian king. The text reads, "How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn." Early Christians reinterpreted this verse as a reference to Satan's fall from grace, linking it to passages in Revelation about a war in heaven. But in its original context, this wasn't about Satan at all. It was a poetic metaphor for a prideful earthly ruler who was brought low. So how did Lucifer become synonymous with the devil? Much of the blame lies with St. Jerome's Latin Vulgate translation of the Bible. He used the word Lucifer, Latin for light bringer, in his translation of Isaiah. Over time, Christian tradition conflated this figure with Satan, and the association stuck. But here's the kicker. In early Christian writings, Lucifer was actually used as a title for Christ himself, reflecting his role as the true light bringer. The dual use of the name just goes to show how fluid and evolving these concepts really are. The devil's evolution in Christian tradition. As Christianity spread and developed, the image of Satan transformed yet again. The early church fathers built on the idea of Satan as a rebellious fallen angel, linking him to apocryphal stories about the angels who defied God and were cast out of heaven. By the Middle Ages, Satan had become the ultimate embodiment of evil, an active tempter working to corrupt human souls. This is also when the imagery we associate with the devil, horns, hooves, and a pitchfork, began to take shape, heavily influenced by depictions of pagan gods like Pan and the Roman deity Pluto. But here's something that often gets overlooked. Satan's role as a tempter wasn't just about punishment. In many theological traditions, the devil serves as a necessary counterpart to free will. Without temptation, humanity wouldn't have the ability to choose good over evil. In a way, Satan is less of an outright villain and more of a tragic figure, a fallen being whose existence serves a larger divine purpose. Satan in modern culture. Fast forward to today, and Satan has become more of a cultural icon than a theological figure. From John Milton's Paradise Lost to heavy metal album covers, the devil has been reimagined countless times. In literature, Satan is often portrayed as a symbol of rebellion and defiance. Think of the famous line, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven." In pop culture, he's everything from a suave tempter in a business suit to a comedic character in TV shows like The Good Place. But what does all this say about us? Our fascination with Satan might reveal more about human nature, our struggles with morality, power, and the consequences of free will, than it does about the devil himself. Conclusion. So, what have we learned? The figure of Satan, or Lucifer, is far from a one-dimensional villain. His story is a tapestry woven from ancient scriptures, theological interpretations, and cultural imagination. Whether he's a tester, a fallen angel, or a light bringer, Satan has always reflected our own fears, desires, and struggles. He's not just a character in a book or a scapegoat for human sin. He's a mirror of humanity itself. If you found this breakdown of Satan and Lucifer's history as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button to let me know. And if you're interested in diving deeper into the origins of other mythological or historical figures, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.